And I am super excited to have a discussion today on a topic that I am always learning more about, and that's assistive technology. But we're also going to learn about a unique program that's based in Maryland, and it offers people the opportunity to buy and give away used assistive technology equipment. What a great option. And leading our discussion today is Denise Barton Schuler, who is the director of the Maryland Assistive Technology Reuse Program. So, Denise, if you've jumped up on stage already, welcome. And I've really been looking forward to this discussion for since we scheduled it a couple of months ago. But Denise, before we dive into the assistive technology and learning about your program a bit, tell us a little bit about yourself. What got you into this field?
Well, my youngest sister was born and suffered anoxia at birth. So she was brain damaged at birth, cognitively intact, but physically unable to do pretty much anything, feed herself, walk and talk and so forth. So from a young age, I was about 6 at the time. I pretty much lived my life around folks with disabilities. I can't tell you the 100% that's why I went into special ed, but I would think so. So I became a special educator and taught special ed for years. A lot of my students used some sort of assistive technology, which I thought was really great. So when it was time to get my master's degree, I got my master's in assistive technology from Hopkins. And then that same year that I graduated, became the first person in Maryland to get the ATP, Assistive Technology Professional Certification. So that's an international certification. So I've really enjoyed that. Worked at Maryland School for the Blind for a bit and for vendors. But for the past 16 plus years, I've been here at the Maryland Technology Assistance Program.
Man, this is great. Let's before we I know you've got some PowerPoints, and maybe my question is going to be on those PowerPoints, but a lot of people tuning in might be tuning in because it's like, what is assistive technology? Do you have a definition of that off the top of your head, or is that on your
Sure.
PowerPoints?
It is on the PowerPoint, but I think we took the federal definition and kind of brought it down a little bit. Really, almost any a tool, and we try to use the word tool because sometimes the word technology does scare folks off, especially folks who are not really technologically savvy. They just panic at that. And so they're really just tools to help individuals with any kind of disability live life a lot easier. So you're wearing glasses. I wear glasses for far away. That's assistive technology. So it could be low tech like that, as well as really high technology, which I could talk a little bit about. So it's really any tool that helps somebody with any disability live, work, and play more independently.
I love it. When I talk about universal design, I always point out, those buttons that we press and the curb cuts that are on the
Mhm.
sidewalk, those are universal design.
Yep.
But we don't think of them that way. And I know you're going to share your PowerPoint, but we featured a Maryland durable medical equipment reuse program a few months back, where people who have old or non-used wheelchairs, walkers,
Mhm.
uh, what have you, were able to donate them to this program, and then those would be dispersed to people that need them.
Right.
Is that how your program works as well?
It's a little bit, there's two different prongs to the program, which I can go over, once I do the PowerPoint, but basically, yeah, we've worked with Ian and that DME program. Durable medical devices, or DME, does fall under the larger umbrella of assistive technology. The Tech Act programs, which I'll talk about, we don't deal with as much durable medical in the new world as in new devices, mainly because those are covered by your insurances. But there's a big need for that, those used devices for folks who can't afford something. And if you guys saw that program, Ian explained that sometimes even if insurance buys something, you need a secondary wheelchair for whatever other reason. So
Yeah.
it's a great program to have. We saw the need at Maryland TAP. I've been collecting things, honestly, in my basement for the past 6 or 7 years for the high technology side, because there is not a program. Pretty much every state has a durable medical program, like we just finally opened up through the state, for the lower tech, but the high tech, it just didn't exist. There are a few states who have more of a hybrid. So they had that durable medical and a few computers and maybe one or two things that maybe is on the side there, but they don't have a full program like we started here in Maryland 2 years ago.
Great. Okay. Well, everybody in the audience is sick of hearing me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop off the screen here and let you share your PowerPoint. And then I want to remind our audience that if you've got questions, go ahead at any point, go ahead and type those in. And then Denise, if you want to like pause throughout your discussion and just check in with me if there's any questions that have come in, maybe we can address those right then.
Sure, sounds good. So that's just a picture of me with my youngest sister I mentioned before. We just started putting this in our PowerPoints just because a lot of times folks do wonder, just like Steve asked, why do we do what we do? And this is pretty much why I do what I do. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about Maryland TAP, which is the Maryland Assistive Technology Program, and MATR, which is our reuse program. We are under the Department of Disabilities in Maryland. So every state and territory has a federally funded AT Act project. There's 56 of us in all, and I think towards the end of the PowerPoint here, I do have a place where you can look online to find your specific Tech Act project. So what Maryland does and what all AT Act projects do provide statewide access to assistive technology, and that's through a few different ways. Equipment demonstrations is our main reason. So folks will call us, tell us what their issues are, and we can do demonstrations of those devices. We can loan those devices, and these are new up-to-date devices for up to 4 weeks. It's basically a try before you buy sort of situation. We don't want anyone wasting their money or any funding sources money, or yourself. I'm sure many of you have bought something you regretted. This way, we're able to get these technology pieces in the hands of individuals to try them in their work situation, in their home and community settings. And then reuse is another thing we do, and that's mostly what I'll talk about a little bit later. Also, financing. Not every state does have a financial loan program, but we do in Maryland. There's about 36 throughout the country. But that is a financial loan program that can loan individuals in Maryland the money. So not a grant, but a loan at a very low interest rate. That's between 3% and 4% right now. And then we can also do some trainings on that as well. So this is the new video we just had put together. I'm going to play this real quick. It gives you a little more of an overview of Maryland TAP, shows you a little bit about our Maryland TAP AT demo and loan library as well.
I don't think that enough people know about a resource like this.
It's like Maryland's best kept secret is that we're here.
So Maryland TAP is the Technology Assistance Program.
We provide services to folks with all disabilities and all age ranges. So we run a pretty broad spectrum of assistive technology services. That includes things like equipment libraries, equipment demonstrations, consultations. We do training.
And so one of our main things that we do here is we have an assistive technology demo and loan library full of different assistive technologies.
There are no other places in the state where you're going to find the variety and the array of assistive equipment, everything from modified wheelchairs to feeding devices to braille and audio devices, that one can go and look at the stuff and try it out and even borrow it for a time.
So we often say we're like the public library for books, but with assistive technology instead.
So they're able to take the devices home with them, utilize them in their workplace, education-based settings, and then actually see if it's going to fit their needs and utilize them there.
So it helps me to rule out if I want to spend the money for something or not.
Then we also do AT reuse, so that's higher tech devices. So we've gathered up the higher tech devices similar to what we have in the library here, but they're donated, which we clean, refurbish, and sanitize, and then are able to loan out to individuals for open-ended loans as long as they need the device. Then we also have a financial loan program, and they can loan between $500 and $50,000, again, to Maryland residents with disabilities to buy any sort of assistive technology that's needed.
I'm grateful that we have a resource like this here.
What our main hope for here is to make the individual more independent.
I've worked with clients over all kinds of disabilities, and I've had people come up to me and say, I didn't think it'd be possible for me to read again, on my own. And like using this device, I was able to actually read a book on my own at my own pace, and it's really powerful.
And I see the huge change it makes in people's lives.
It's life changing, and there is no application process, which is probably the best part of this.
I think that's really unique in our program. You don't have to go through all these forms and get things signed off and checked off on. You contact us directly as AT specialists. We can get somebody in here in the library if they want to in probably less than a week's time.
There's not a fee associated with our program. There's not an application process. It is truly a public service that we're providing. So we want folks to feel comfortable reaching out to us, connecting with us, and hopefully we can help come up with some solutions.
I don't think that enough.
So that's our new little promotional video, which we're pretty excited about. We just got one quick question that I'd be glad to answer. What if you live far away? So that is a good question. We do have our main library in Baltimore City. It's northeast side of the city, so it is not downtown. So it's a wee bit easier to get to. Excuse me. But we also do, since COVID, a lot of things have changed in how we can do our demonstrations. So we've been doing virtual demonstrations as well via either Zoom or Google Meet. So that is an option for individuals for sure. So we talked a little bit about what the assistive technology is when I gave that definition, but this is a little bit of a flow chart here. And so again, for the assistive technology, we start with that information and assistance. Someone can give us a call. Sometimes it's just a matter of chatting, you know, what is this device, or I have this issue, is there something that can work? So we can just do some information and assistance for individuals. Well, what we love to have is for individuals come in and do that device demonstration. We prefer the face-to-face with the hands-on because they are able to then see, touch and see the devices. Plus at a device demonstration in person, they can, you know, as we're chatting, they might say, oh, I have another issue here, or they look at something in the library and say, oh, that looks really great. So we like to have that in person if at all possible. If not, we do the virtual demonstrations. But as I'll talk a little bit later, there are other areas in the state where we have the AT libraries. So their main places in Baltimore, but we do contract with the Centers for Independent Living. So there's pretty robust libraries in Western Maryland, Eastern Shore, and Southern Maryland. And then the other 4 CILs or Centers for Independent Living also have small, what we call community libraries. So there are areas regionally located that you can go into to try some of these devices. And then again, those device loans where the individual can take the device home with them, try them in their workplace, in their home setting, wherever it is, to see if it really works for them. What looks great on the shelf or what your neighbor thought was really great might not work for you. So we really want them in the hands of individuals to try. Once they decide, okay, this is a great device, we can then help them acquire the device, as in trying to find different funding sources. I pretty much price comparison shop for the individual to find out what's the best place for them to purchase the devices. We know all the local representatives, so that might sometimes be the best bet. Other times Amazon might be the cheapest and easiest to do if it's a lower tech device or if someone's really tech savvy. So we look at that. And then the reutilization side, then that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit later as well, that, you know, if this device has a little bit of end of life, once you no longer need it, it can be passed on to us to be able to be refurbished and then give to somebody for free. And then the state financing is one option I mentioned earlier, that they can loan between $550,000 and $50,000 to a Maryland state resident with any disability or any of their family members. So again, what we do in Maryland, this is the offices I mentioned. There's different libraries all over different parts of the state, as well as those 4 community libraries. And we do those AT demonstrations and the customized consultations either in person or virtually. Again, it really is that individual's choice, those short-term loans. And then we do host different AT sessions. We do sessions for low vision or for hard of hearing or for cognitive and transition. So there's lots of different specific things we can actually do presentations for, again, in person and virtually. Since COVID, we have done quite a few different webinars that we have on our site that you're able to then look at this point as well. So we do have a virtual library on site. So if you take a look at our website, you'll be able to look at the virtual AT library. which is looking at what we have here in Baltimore to see what is on there. We don't have everything listed quite yet. We're still working on that, but you can get an idea of the different devices that are available, or check to see if we have a specific device that you're looking for. We also have a home modifications directory. We don't do any home modifications. We're not construction folks, but we do have a listing of those folks throughout the state who have done home modifications, door widening, redo the bathrooms, building ramps, and so forth. And then a loan closet directory. So besides the larger loan closet for durable medical devices that Ian had spoken about in a few, maybe a month or so ago, there's other smaller mom and pop loan closets where individuals can get for free, again, a wheelchair or a lift chair or walkers and so forth as well. I'm going to pop up to the Q&A real quick to see if there's another question.
Yeah, we've got a few. Ed
Okay.
Grossman says, do you deal with applications? Like, how do you adapt a smartphone or an iPad or computer, Alexa or Siri, as opposed to devices to better serve individuals?
We do. And actually we have iPads in our library. We have Alexa and so forth in the library. So even though those are mainstream items, we consider those assistive technology, again, when it works with somebody with a disability. So we do work with individuals about those different devices, show them how to adapt, show them what are the built-in features in both the Mac and Windows operating system, as well as all the iOS built-in pieces as well.
Okay, and Ed had a little side note that he's looking for solutions for people with cognitive disabilities. Are there some pieces of assistive technology or technology in general that you found that have been helpful for cognitive
We
disabilities?
sure do. We sure do. Yep, exactly. So we work with folks with any disability, any age group. And so it doesn't matter. So we do folks with, memory issues and cognitive issues and so forth. So we talk about what apps might be applicable or what other devices to help with memory and help with cognitive issues, note taking and so forth. So we can certainly do a consult about that, something specific.
So it sounds like your team really, when you call your program, your team really tries to learn as much as they can about the person or the client or the loved one that somebody's calling about, and then sort of present a menu of different options that are out there.
We do, and that's a great way to put it. So we use what was put out by Joy Zabala called the SET framework for the school system. I just took the S, which stand for student, and made it for P for person. So we talk about that individual. They might call and tell me what their diagnosis is. I have macular degeneration, but that's not everything that person is. So we talk a little bit about who they are. The E stands for environment. Where are they going to do what they need to do? Is it a workplace? If it's a workplace, do they have windows and light and so forth? What's the noise situation like? Is it their assisted living center, wherever that may be? And what tasks they want to do is the first T. So we have 80-year-old folks who are still in the workforce. Their needs are way different than somebody who just wants to look at their grandbaby's pictures on their cell phone. So we talk a little bit about all of that person first before we bring that last T in, which is for the tools or technology. Because again, it's really going to decide on that person what their needs are. We're just not going to throw every low vision thing to somebody. We're going to talk about what their needs are first. So exactly, we kind of do that kind of talking to the individual before we even set up that demonstration.
Great. And then let's see, Janet Grith says, does Montgomery County provide any of your services? Montgomery County, Maryland.
So Montgomery County does have the Center for Independent Living, and they do have a small community library. What the community libraries do not have in there, they could borrow from us. So they don't have the AT specialist there, but they can do some showing of the devices, and we can certainly talk to them if they need some more help. And then again, they can borrow those devices if they want to beef up their library a little bit as well.
Okay, and then someone's asking, I'm not in Maryland, and are programs like this nationwide?
There are. So there is an AT Act Center in every single state and American territory. So there's 56 in all. And at the end of the PowerPoint, I do have that website on there. They're able to go in and check that program. And you can see about their main program. And then you can also see if they have a reuse and so forth program as well. They're run a little bit differently in every state, mainly because of who got the grant in the state. In Maryland, we are under the Governor's Office of Disabilities that other states don't have. Other states are run under either university systems or Department of Rehab, but we all get the same money from the feds, and we all have to do the same thing with those demonstrations of the devices, the short-term loans of the devices, and the trainings and so forth. We all have the same activities that we do, but yes, they're in every single state.
Okay, great.
Yep.
And then let's see. Jose says, we've developed an utterance translator for those living with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Could we be considered assistive technology?
Absolutely. I'd love to hear more about that. If they can send that, that'd be great, Jose. I'd love to see more of that, but absolutely, that would be considered assistive technology. And yes, you also asked, we'll definitely share those slides. I can send Steve the a PDF of everything I have shared here, so you'll be able to get all of that as well.
And and Jose, I could see us actually doing a little demo on one of our discussions with the with your product. We love featuring entrepreneurs that are coming up with creative ways to solve problems, and that would be good.
That.
So okay, let's see. Hugh Reese says, can you speak to the equity component of the program? Is financing easily accessible to lower income or underserved individuals?
Yes, for sure. So first of all, Maryland TAP does, as far as all the demonstrations and the loans of the devices and helping to find out who to fund it, that's all free. So it costs nobody any money whatsoever. The financial loan program, they take in consideration your debt to income ratio. Again, I'm not the director of that program, but I can answer a few things. And basically, they do a lot of folks with lower income. What they're looking at is, does their debt to income ratio allow them to get out a loan? And because the financing, the rate is so low, a lot of folks can get that. But as far as the other things we do, it's all free. It does not matter what your income is. We can see anybody. It does not matter what your income is at all. Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, well, we got through those round of questions there. Keep them coming, folks, and you can keep on moving on your. Oh, the bunch more popped in, but why don't you advance a few slides and then check in with me? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Oops. So another thing that we do is, even though we at Maryland TAP do not take the durable medical devices, we saw the need years and years ago. And we celebrated our 30th anniversary a couple of years ago. We do see the need for folks to be able to buy or give away or acquire this durable medical devices and lots of bigger pieces that we have no room to house here. So some years ago, we started a Facebook yard sale page. Basically, it's called the Assistive Technology Exchange. And this then will be for individuals who are saying, I'm in search of something like a shower chair in that lower picture. The middle share shows a picture of one of the chairs that will lift you out of the chair. And then the right picture shows a stair lift. So Joe Smith can list the stair lift on there either for free, which many people do, or for a cost, which is lower than what folks can purchase. And then let's say Jane Smith sees it and says, hey, I would like that. So this is just a conduit to connect individuals who have devices that they want to get rid of to individuals who need those devices. Most folks who list on there, or look on there rather, are looking for free devices because they cannot afford a device. So it's a great place, again, for folks to list what they no longer need. Maybe someone's passed on or they no longer need the equipment. It's just sitting in their garage and folks want to get rid of it. It's a wonderful conduit for that. So we never touch the equipment. Again, we just connect the two people who have and want the equipment. So the Maryland AT3 Center is the program that Steve was talking about. That's pretty different than other states because they just don't have the higher tech reuse. What we've collected through the years and have worked on are the CCTVs, which are the larger video magnifiers that sit on a desktop, your smaller video magnifiers, any handheld magnifier, any iDevice, and that I can actually say any kind of computer or tablet as well. So we'll Samsung, it doesn't matter. Adaptive computer keyboards, mice, and switches. And I have some pictures of these a little bit later in the show. Speech communication devices for folks who cannot speak. Amplified telephones, and lots of other ones. And again, you'll get all these slides, but that is the site that shows it. And I'll be able to probably pull that up a little bit later. That brick and mortar place is located in Columbia, Maryland. And that's where I keep all the devices that we have refurbished to be able to give out to individuals. And that is also by appointment. Both are the Maryland TAP as well as MATR is both by appointment only, to be able to then decide what equipment might be best for that individual. So these are a few pictures of things we actually have in our MATR site. Different communication devices. The left one is more of a high-tech device where it has a memory like a computer, whereas the right one only has 2 buttons to be able to say maybe yes or no. Remote controls, there's some big honking remote controls. The one on the left is probably about 10 by 4. It's very huge buttons. The one on the right, you can cover up the numbers so for somebody who maybe the numbers are a little bit too much for them, they can do channel up, channel down, volume up and down, and then on off, so to make it pretty simple. Call buttons for individuals to be able to call a caregiver in their home. Voice amplifiers, these are devices used for individuals who can speak, but maybe not very loudly. Maybe they have a breath control issue via Parkinson's or something like that. So this gets put on like a fanny pack, and you would connect a microphone to it and the individual could speak and it would then amplify their voice. Handheld magnifiers, and this little guy actually is a handheld magnifier with a fingernail clipper attached to it as well. Word processors, these are a little bit old school, but sometimes folks just need this to be able to do a word processor without having all the bells and whistles of a laptop or another computer. Visual baby monitor for someone who's deaf or hard of hearing. So this guy will show the individual as the baby sound gets louder, the lights get a little bit higher. And then there was one picture of an adaptive phone. This one happens to be a picture phone as well. So for someone with memory issues, to try to remember a phone number is difficult, but I can put their picture there and they push the picture and then that automatically dials that individual. So you want to take a few more questions, Steve, and I can show what the database looks like.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Jane Buchanan says, let's say yay to an older person with low vision and hearing loss. What kinds of assistive technology would you recommend? Another scenario would be assistive technology for somebody with cognitive decline. She may have typed that in before you showed some of those samples there, but low vision, hearing loss, and cognitive decline, any products that sort of come to mind that folks might not be aware of?
Yeah, there's quite a few out there. So, this is really going to be, we can't really do a one-on-one consult here, obviously. And that's why we like to have folks meet for a consultation, but there's video magnifiers, some that are handheld, some that are larger for your tabletop, depending on what they want. There's, again, different apps that are available for reminder systems. There's actually little devices that can sit in your home if you don't have a smartphone or don't want to deal with that, that are devices that are reminder devices that a caregiver could perhaps put a text in there, or not a text, but a little speech device saying, hey, mom, don't forget it's time to take your medicine. There are medicine reminders that have alarms on them that will alarm you at certain times of the day to take meds, and they won't stop alarming until you actually tilt it over and take the pills out. So there's lots of different devices that are available. It just depends on that individual, what their needs are and what their individual abilities are as well.
Now, someone's asking about voice mapping and typing with your eyes. And this is some technology that I've seen in use before, and it's absolutely mind-blowing and amazing. But he's, talking about like Stephen Hawking's and folks with Lou Gehrig's disease. And I was actually at a nursing home a few years back up in Boston where they installed this technology where a gentleman who was living there was able to go up to the elevator bank, and using his eyes, he could signal the elevator and lots of other things.
Yes, so we do have some of that high tech as well. So we do have a few different versions of the eye gaze systems, some that are built in specifically for communication devices, other ones that are made for somebody who can speak, and again, just maybe has locked-in syndrome or spinal cord injury. So we have some that can work with the Alexa devices. The eye gaze systems are wonderful. We can have folks set up with those devices to, just like you said, Steve, turn it, for elevator if they have that set up. But in your own home, when we used to try to set up environmental controls, sometimes it was $5,000 to $10,000. Quite hard to set up. You'd have to have someone voice train on it and so forth. The newer devices, the eye gaze systems used to be between $10,000 and $30,000, which again is quite a high price. Again, you're remembering that most of these are not covered by your insurances. But lately, there are eye gaze devices that can just plug into a PC. They're about the size of a thick marker. Those are under $2,000 now. So they've dropped down from 10 to 30,000 to 2,000 that can be plugged into a PC and work pretty quickly. So you're able to do anything you need on the computer just with your eyes. If you need a communication piece as well, we can put communication software on your device where you can then utilize that. Just like Stephen Hawking's and OJ Brigance from our Ravens, my coworker actually got him his first communication device with eye gaze. So you're able to do that. And if possible, through your Alexa systems, you can actually use the eye gaze and a voice on there to open up your door lock, to open up a garage door, to turn your lights on and so forth. So there's so many things that are available. And of course, because the Alexa, your Alexa, your Google devices are mainstream, they're way cheaper. So we can set somebody up with an environmental control system for, way under 2,000 now, where it used to be closer to 10,000. And because she works out of the box, there's no training involved, which is really wonderful.
Yeah, and let's hope that just like curb cuts and automatic doors that open, that in the future, the eye gaze programs are things that we all use. I mean, think about how convenient it would be to just enter your house and not have to fumble for the keys and carry your groceries in, no matter what your abilities are.
Yep, for sure. Yep, the mainstream is the way to go for a lot of these. Absolutely. And there's an eye gaze device that's made for gaming, and our gamers have really helped the special population. I've got a mouse that's very easy to use, made by gamers, that is way less expensive than any specialized mouse. And also an eye gaze system that are made by gamers is closer to like $400. So it's a lot less expensive because it doesn't have some of the built-ins that individuals need. But the gamers, the returning vets, and I believe, this is my personal opinion, that the folks who are getting the repetitive concussions in football are really pushing this to be easier to get and a lower price because more folks are needing these devices.
All right, and I apologize. I keep on forgetting to mute my my mic, and I'm typing fast and furious, folks. If you look at chat, I've tried to put most of the links that Denise has been referencing. We've had some questions about different state programs. I found a program in Virginia, and then I found a link to all the different state assistive technology programs. So for those that aren't in Maryland, there are resources out there. Okay. All right. Let's see. Our Victoria asks, are the eye gaze systems personalized to the individual? Like if you had an eye gaze open a door, could anybody open it? Or let's say that you have a husband and wife. Is it possible to have it set for two different people?
Right. So I haven't done the eye gaze for the doors yet. What I've done is more, the eye gaze is computer based, and then that runs whatever the door thing is. So your eyes aren't actually looking at the door opening it. Your eyes are looking at a computer program that sends it over there. So, right. It's not like you would walk up to the door. I know that there are places now that have, the retinal or cornea recognizers, just like they do on your phones now that they have the facial recognizer. That's not the one that we're talking about, although I'm sure that's coming as well, for sure.
And just out of curiosity, like that system would, like, let's say that you've got a parent who has a child with a disability, would is for those specific eye gaze programs, is it just activated by one individual, or is it possible for two people to utilize the program?
If we're talking about the ones that are based on the computer or the communication, you're actually setting it up for that individual user, because they're going to look at their eyes, and you basically go through a calibration on the screen where you look at different buttons and so forth. So it's really going to be based for that individual. The plus of that is if you have only one eye, or you've got some issues with one eye, they can actually do the calibration via one eye. So it's really made for one person. That being said, I've sat down at a device that we have here that may be calibrated for someone else, and sometimes it'll work for me okay. But it really is specifically set for someone individual to be able to do that. So it's not really a family operated device at all.
Okay, great. And I've got one question regarding the utterance translator that Jose talked about. And Jose, stay on this call, and if we get through all the questions, maybe we'll open up your mic and you can tell us a little bit about your product there. I think we're all very interested in it. So I'll let you keep on going here.
Okay. So, oops. So on the MATR site, this is what you'll pull up. Are you able to see that?
Yes, I am. Yes, I
Okay,
am.
good. Sometimes like, so this is what it shows. Welcome to the MATR, the Maryland AT website. When you click on view the reutilization items, this shows a list of our devices that we now have in. And again, this is added to all the time or subtracted to all the time. So you have a device category you're able to look at. Let's just hit vision. And then I can search, and now this just pulls up the vision devices. So anything under vision would pop up here. You could also name either a type of device, something specific. So here I have something, it could be a braille display or a document camera, and you can be more specific with it. And so you can also do a keyword. So if you were looking for the Ruby magnifier, I could plug in Ruby and that would search. And then you can go scroll down to what devices are available. And if you wanted to basically put a hold on that device, I'm able to click on that device, and then it will pop up, show a picture of the device, do the description of it, what the retail cost was. We have to have that for our data. And then if I had you can look here without having to make your own setup on here. If you do want to add to it and then request a device, you would have to make an account, which doesn't cost you anything, and it doesn't get any bit of information except for your email and so forth. But that's able to then say, okay, I do want this device. And then goes directly to my email, where then I'm able to go in and then contact you and say, where can we pick it up and where is it located and so forth. And we can talk a little bit more about whether you will actually need that device. Sometimes folks will hit something because they think it's what they need. And then that starts a conversation with us that we can kind of talk about what their needs are and if indeed this will fit their needs. So at Maryland Tap, our info is everywhere. We have where it's at is our award-winning blog. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and we have a new person who started TikTok. So the sites are really great, first of all, for any information about new activities or events that we're actually holding. But on our Facebook site, we have our own channel, and that shows a few different things. It shows sometimes what devices we have in the library, an overview of, let's say, low vision, or on specific devices that are out there and that we have in our library. So it can be more specific or really overview. Also, it could be a low vision kind of webinar that we put out there. So it could be on something specific, AT in the workplace and so forth. So we've got a lot of different webinars that I think are now being posted on our site, on the Facebook site, that individuals can check out anytime they want to check out. The contact information is there, and I did put that again into the chat. Again, this is just our main office in Baltimore, but if you contacted us and told me what area you are in the state, we can certainly point you in the direction of the closest local regional library as well. And then Steve said maybe he already put this up here, but we have the AT3 Center is our overarching site to help all of the AT Act programs to do trainings and do webinars for us. So again, that's where you'd find your state program. And as I mentioned before, every state has an AT Act program to do those demos and loans. Not everybody has the financial loan program, but we do. So if I click on this one, your state AT program, that will pull up the site here, and you would just find your state or territory. So we hit Alaska. It gives you all of their contact information, who you would contact for a device loan, who you would contact for a demo if they do reutilization. And then state financing would mean, again, if they had that financial loan program. So you can then find your state there and then contact them directly for whatever device you may need. And that is the end of this. So we can do some more questions.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you shared that. The site that I found was a little bit different. So I dropped in the AT3 Center into chat there. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right. We are, somebody asked would you please type your email addresses and website address? I think I did that, but yeah, here I'm going to do it one more time just in case you didn't see it. I was able to pull that from Denise's email to me. So I just dropped that in there for everybody, Denise's contact info. I did see, I don't know, Rosalind Schmidt, if this is a mistake, but you've raised your hand, so you might have a question. So I'm prompting you to turn your mic on and ask your question. I also want to see if Jose, you're still in the in the audience. While we're fielding any questions, we've had a few people ask about your utterance translator, so I'm gonna allow you to talk as well. So Rosalind and Jose, if you wanted to open up your mic and ask a question, you are able to do that now. And
yeah, can you hear me?
yeah, is that I this sounds like it's Jose. Whoops.
He's muted
right.
again.
Yeah, I just asked him to unmute. And then
Okay.
okay, Jose, you can, I think we can hear you now.
Yeah, our device, the utterance translator, is being developed under a grant from the National Institute of Aging, and it was started several years ago, and it uses advanced natural language processing. To be able to get there, you first have to build a relationship of families around the elder, because there is a certain amount of vocal stream translation that precedes using artificial intelligence. So to give you an example, an elder might say, I want to go to the, and they want to say bathroom, doesn't come quite out at what they're trying to say. The families initially are able to understand that, and they do a manual translation. And we have this happening with thousands of people. And then we are able to discern a pattern that makes it able for us to then be able to articulate those utterances that relate to activities of daily living. And that is shared then with caregivers, with doctors, with all kinds of people. And you notice the behavior because the elders stop feeling frustrated.
Hey Jose, your audio is going in and out on us, but this sounds fascinating. And honestly, like I know everybody's really interested in this. It would be great. We'll email each other and we'll get you on here to do a demo of this product. I think everybody is really interested in it.
Yep. I sent a note. Someone had. I'm sorry.
Hear me
Yeah,
now?
you're really going in and out big time.
Yeah,
But
so yeah, sorry for that. Maybe I can ask a question. I'll get back when my system stabilizes in a few 30 seconds or so.
sure.
Yeah. So Denise, I don't know if you can hear my question, but Denise, the assistive technology is so exciting. I know it's in every state. My question is, why is it hasn't been discovered by nursing homes and families in general?
I'm not sure. From our end, I can only speak for Maryland. We have, again, I've been here 16 years. We present everywhere. We present to service coordination individuals. We present to nursing homes and hospitals and doctors and so forth. Sometimes the medical side is a little bit harder to get into. I feel that perhaps they look more at the medical model as opposed to a different model. And so it's a little harder. We do have some local ophthalmologists who are all about this, and they send folks to us all the time. I work with a few hospitals here, Kernan and some other rehab hospitals, and another regular hospital that's close by that really sees the benefit of having assistive technology. For example, having just a low-tech communication board for someone to talk to someone who's fresh out of surgery, or for somebody who is hard of hearing, an assisted listening device that they can have on hand for the folks who are not going to be bringing their hearing aids in there, or they forget them or whatever, so they can communicate with that individual, whether it's a family member or a patient, that they can communicate. So we've done a lot of outreach in addition to that, Victoria asked a question about a newsletter or communication, and we do have that. Victoria, if you send an email, we can certainly add you to our constant contact list. But we do have posts on our Facebook site regularly, as well as the Twitter feed and so forth. So that comes out all the time. But we definitely do have a newsletter that goes out to an individual who would like to sign up for that as well. We try not to spam you, but we do, Jose, try to reach out to organizations all over in the community living field, in the education field, and in the employment field. We talk to employers as well as folks who have had the difficulties, and then we can help them. So we do reach out, but honestly, some of the answer is turnover.
Yeah,
we've done trainings in the same.
You know, and this isn't really the first, you know, there's so many resources that we feature on here that people don't know about. And, you know, a lot of providers, they just stay in their lane. You know, it's sort of, I make a diagnosis and I get you out the door. And the exceptional providers out there, and we all know who they are, and many of them are on this discussion right now, are always looking for great resources to suggest to their clients. And what I've seen happen is that if a provider, a lot of times a provider learns about assistive technology through one of their clients. It's sort of like, hey, look at what I found. And they're sort of like, whoa, I didn't know that exists. And once they're able to sort of attach a real person to a product, it's amazing what happens. Someone is asking
Steve,
about. Oh yeah.
I can hear your answer very well now, Steve. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you a little bit better, and you still kind of are choppy. But like I said, Jose, I'd love to do a full hour on what you've done because it sounds really pioneering and innovative. So let's have a dialogue, and we'll get you scheduled, and we'll do a demo. It sounds fascinating.
Sure, absolutely. Just I think you have my email. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your work there. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we've got so important and so needed. Thank you, Jose. Is there a website for the utterance translator? So Jose, okay, we've got Jose's email has just been dropped into chat. So reach out to him if you're interested in the utterance translator. And then Wes Morrison says, can Washington, D.C. residents use your program, or are you aware of the D.C. AT reuse program?
Yes, there's one in DC. So unfortunately, where we are in Maryland, because we're so close to Pennsylvania, Delaware, Virginia, and DC, we do have folks coming in from all over. We can only serve Maryland residents with disabilities. The only way we can kind of fudge it a little bit is if we have students coming in from other states. Sometimes we will point them in the direction of their home AT Act program, but we are able to, if they are a student at a Maryland university, we are able to help them a little bit. But basically, because we get federal funding and every other place gets it, we have to serve our own constituents. So ours is really only Maryland, but DC does have a program. I think they're under a university or system as well. Information is up there.
Yeah, and I just found a program here online. I'm gonna drop it into chat for those Washington D.C. folks, and hopefully that's helpful. Okay, there we go. All right. This has been a great discussion. I mean, I love learning about this and realizing how many resources out there, and that there's a program that's customized to the needs of the individual in Maryland, but also throughout the country. I know our audience has expanded quite a bit. Any closing thoughts, Denise, or things that you'd like to share with folks? And we'll see if a few last minute questions come in.
Yeah, one thing I did want to share is we started the MATR program beginning of January of 2020, which of course a few months, weeks later, COVID hit, we closed down pretty much. But since we've actually started disseminating these pieces of equipment out, which basically was November of 20. We have given out 34 devices, totaling over $73,000 worth of devices. Even if we take 20,000 out for one van, that's $53,000 worth of equipment that we're able to give to individuals for free. And so I just wanted to, besides Maryland TAP, that one part that does all those consults to try to find the right fit of new devices, just a reminder that MATR, the Maryland AT Reuse Program, is free for anybody who needs to get these devices for free. Again, they might not get the Cadillac, but they could have a VW that does the same thing. It'll still get you there. It'll still either read to, have it, be able to magnify something, or be able to hear better, or have a computer access via different mice and keyboards. So there's lots of different devices that are there. So I just would request anybody who has any donations to give them, let me have those so we can refurbish them for someone else. And if you need something, check out the site, request it. You can have it for free.
Now, could potentially, let's say I'm in Virginia and I've got a assisted listening device. It's okay if I make a donation to the Maryland program, correct?
Absolutely. I'll take it from
Okay.
anywhere. Yep.
Okay. It's just going the opposite way is a little bit
Correct.
more difficult.
Correct.
And I will tell you, like, one of the great partners here in Northern Virginia is the Northern Virginia Center for Hearing Loss, who they've done a program on assistive technology for us in the past. But I got to go to a hearing loss support group many years ago. And I tell you what, like, there was a gentleman there, he had hearing aids, but we were demoing different assisted listening devices. And this device that he used was just as simple as putting earbuds in, and then he had this little microphone.
Yep.
And I tell you, the look on his face was like a kid on Christmas Day, because even though he had hearing aids, I don't think they were working that well. But the assisted listening device, it blocked out the other noises so that he could hear our conversation at the table. And it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So I think to our audience, and Jose reiterated this, is that today we just want you all to be aware that there are products and technologies out there. And like Jose, there's new stuff coming into the market every day. Make sure that practitioners know about this. Make sure that you, do some research. Call Denise if you've got a client who you think there could be something that could make them live a more purposeful life. It's not like this stuff is out there at your local Best Buy, and that's why people don't know about it.
But we do tours of our library now that we're opening, especially more. So we've done tours for college students in the OT or PT or speech or education field, but we'll do tours for any individual or group if you wanted to come to see. And sometimes, like Steve had his eyes open there, it's eye-opening when you come to see all the different devices. You're in the library and you're like, oh my gosh, this exists. And I'll tell two real quick tales, which are similar, Steve, where my coworker at the time, her husband swears he hears fine, no problem, doesn't need hearing aids, use an assisted listening device, just like you're talking about, to watch a program at home on TV. And he was like, there's background music. Never heard the background music. That made a huge difference. And then one of my clients who has macular degeneration, we saw a CCTV that usually has sit on your desk, you put your text under. This particular one also had a camera that can turn on her face. And she cried because for the first time in 5 years, she said, I can see my face to do my mascara, to do my eye makeup. So this is why I do it, because it makes such a huge difference in folks' lives that, sometimes they don't know what they're missing and sometimes they do know. And now they're able to see, read, hear, whatever the case is, again, which is wonderful.
Man, this is great. Well, thank you so much, Denise. And again, thanks to our audience. I'm always just so blown away at the great questions that you all throw on the table. And again, I love that somebody like Jose tuned in as well, an entrepreneur that is, developing new technology to help us live more purposeful lives. So as I thrown into chat, we're recording this. It'll be up at on our site shortly. And then Denise, if you send me over your PowerPoint, I'll put the link to her PowerPoint. I'll put all the chat transcript in there, and I'll put a list of all the questions that were asked as well. But look forward to having you back on, Denise. This was really
Thank you.
an
I'd love
enjoyable
to.
conversation.
Thanks, everybody.
You bet.